Hey guys, I'm Helena Taylor. This is my first learning teaching assignment, and I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. Um, so, a couple of things that were interesting to me, or that I've kind of been thinking about with this week's lesson, were the 3 levels of prevention that kind of stood out to me. The primary, that would be building strong familial relationships or skills before problems arise. I just kind of thought with that one, kind of like building a solid foundation. My father-in-law always says if you don't have a solid foundation, especially in your marriage, then nothing else matters. So that's always been pretty important to me. And then there's secondary, which is people who are already showing signs of some risk and are in need of some assistance or intervention. And tertiary is the family is already struggling a great deal. They're in distress, and professional help is usually necessary at this point. Um, I'm kind of torn between primary and secondary, for especially thinking about my workshop. It's important to build a strong foundation. I fully believe that. But I also really like helping people that are struggling a little bit. But I guess just with my workshop, the nature of my topic is going to probably be targeting people that are already having a difficult time. I'm focusing on mental illness in the family. And so most likely those people are already going to be struggling a little bit with some issues. And so I kind of want to help them become stronger as a family, as well as helping them learn how to cope with the problems they're already having. And so I haven't really totally decided how I'm going to approach that, but that's kind of my thoughts on that. But I definitely think that it's a lot easier to not overstep your bounds as a family life educator if you focus on primary. And so that's kind of why I'm leaning a little towards that too. And then another thing that stood out to me was content of family life education. There were 4 points for this. First is you should have scholarly information, obviously. And then number 2 was it fits with your values, instincts, and are true. And basically you just need to trust yourself, your own values, and your personal instinct when you're selecting information. And we actually kind of talked about this in a work meeting the other day. And our new thing is use good judgment in every situation. And I kind of thought of that when I was reading this too. Basically, I mean, you know your audience, and you'll kind of be able to read them and what they need. And so just be smart about what you choose. And then the third one is obviously it needs to fit with the culture, experience, values, or knowledge of your participants. You'll want to select scholarly materials that aren't biased, that's kind of obvious. But also you want to incorporate what participants bring into the setting, so kind of what their background is, where they're coming from, what's going on in their lives. And I know this is going to vary like between areas, religion and things like that. And so it's important to be aware of that. And the fourth one was that the ideas work when they're practiced. And so I liked this advice to test it in our personal lives. And obviously methods aren't going to always work for everyone, but it can be useful in some instances. And if we try it ourselves, that's a really good indication of whether it's going to be effective or not. And so I thought a lot about that. Especially, I mean, I know for a lot of my classes so far in marriage and family studies have been, you have to practice things in your own marriage or in your own family, and you have to practice implementing those things in your own life. And especially last semester, I took a marriage class, and I actually did the assignments and applied them to my life, tried some of the methods, and it made such a huge difference. And I wouldn't have gotten as much out of it if I didn't really try the methods that we were learning. And so I'm glad that I actually went ahead and did it. And now I feel confident in the future, like sharing that information with other people. And one of the books that we read, I can't remember, but it was by John Gottman. It's the 7 Principles for Improving Your Marriage or something. I've told like a lot of people about it because I actually read it and tried it, and it worked for me. And so now I feel confident in teaching people about it, sharing it with other people. And so, my next point here, program design. So it talks about consulting with your target audience to address or assess their specific needs. And obviously your program is going to be related to these needs. And so some of the easier ways to gather information, at least the first thing I always think of is social media. It's probably the first answer for anything, any way to get people to participate in anything. I feel like social media is the first thing that always comes to mind. And so you can easily take polls on social media. You can make a group for your target audience and just put a poll right on there. And they can tell you exactly what they want to hear about. You can leave it open-ended. Can just post a question of what they want to hear about. And then, of course, just thinking about what needs to be learned in order to accomplish things in the future, in order for them to accomplish the goals that you're trying to help them achieve. And just thinking about that can really, of course, help you decide without going into too much depth with this, because I know for the purposes of this project, we don't have a lot of time to really dig deep into finding out what we should address in our workshop. So that's pretty much all the thoughts that I had this week. So yeah, there you go.